cashew nuts question. They always ask good questions. So the first question is about there are many different words in Tibetan and Sanskrit that we translate as mind, like San, Yid, Lo, Sheba, Tu, Ning. So what's the subtle difference between them? This is very important for us as we try to find the best word to translate these ideas into Russian.
Yeah. Okay. And I really understand the question. And when I first started to translate Tibetan into English and Sanskrit, I was very confused, really, really confused. And I had a lot of trouble translating these words. And I remember thinking in some languages, like there's many words for confusion. Or many words for dark, and then I thought, wow, it's so interesting that in Tibetan and Sanskrit, there's so many words for mind and so many words for wisdom. And I thought, well, what's the difference? Can we find separate words in English or other languages? So I think a big help is the Abhidharma. They try to make a difference between these words. So here's my idea. For Sem, and this is not going to be totally complete, but it's just what I'm thinking of right now. For Sem, which is what in Sanskrit, manas? Or chitta, mainly chitta. Yeah, I would use mind. I would just use mind. Okay, for Sem or chitta, I would use mind, unless it's bodhicitta, yay! And I would not call it mind of enlightenment because that's misleading. It means the wish for enlightenment. Okay, so if Sem comes in Changchub Sem, bodhicitta, I would translate it as the wish for enlightenment. Okay, now let's talk about Yi, Y-I-D. I think that's manas in Sanskrit. And in the Abhidharma, I think it's very easy. I think it's more clear if you translate it as thoughts, your thoughts. Okay. And that the reason I chose that word 40 years ago is because of it emphasizes what you hear in your mind. Okay, it emphasizes in Abhidharma especially, Yi or manas is what you hear in your mind. So I would say thoughts. It's very common in English to say I'm listening to my thoughts. Okay, so I would use thoughts plural for Yi. Okay, and then for number shepa, I think vijnana. I think consciousness is fine. I think consciousness is fine. It really does mean, yeah, an awareness of your senses, for example. Okay, so I would, for number shepa, I would use consciousness. For number rikpa, okay, like in the mind only school, I would just call it mind. And a number rikpa as a school, I would say mentalist, even though the word mentalist has connotations in English as magician or something like that. So, but that's so unusual. I don't think you have to worry about raiders. Okay. Rikpa by itself. What is number rikpa in Sanskrit, you guys? No.
Vijnana.
Really? Again?
You said it was conscious.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then Rigpa by itself with no S. R-I-G-P-A. rikpa by itself, I would say awareness. Okay, awareness, rikpa. Okay. And you have to be careful to distinguish it from rikspa with a S, R-I-G-S-P-A, which means logic or clear thinking. You can say clear thinking, rikspa. Which brings us to Stanley Chan's Tokpa. And Tokpa, R-T-O-G, P-A, can mean thinking generally, or noting in the sense of noticing, okay? So that's another synonym for these things. Tokpa, R-T-O-G, yeah, vitarka, okay? And then if you add an S to ritok, it becomes R-T-O-G-S, ratatatana rotogasatok. Then it means realization, to realize, okay? In the sense of figuring something out. So those are some of the words, and those are the main ones.
What about lo?
Oh, lo, mati.
Mati.
Yeah, lo has so many different meanings that you gotta look for the context. Lo de is intelligence, and it can. There's even a negative form of lo de, which means using logic to hurt somebody. Okay, it's called evil intellect or something like that. So lo de I would translate as intellect because it can be misapplied. So lo and lo de can never be translated as realization, because in the Abhidharma especially, it can refer to thinking used for wrong purposes. Okay, negative thinking. Okay, so that's lo de. So lo, but generally lo, I don't have a problem with calling it mind, and mati, and translating it the same as sem, which is chitta. I don't have a problem with that. They're the same. Okay, and I think if you artificially try to distinguish between them, you confuse your reader unnecessarily. You know, so in every word from mind is used in different schools in different ways. So I think paramount importance, the most important thing, is always to communicate the correct feeling to your audience. Okay, and I don't care if I happen to use the same translation for the same word even in the same book, if it's meant in a different way. So I don't artificially try to stick to one English word if it doesn't make sense. So I don't have a problem with using different words from mine for the same Tibetan word or Sanskrit word from mine if it has a different flavor. And otherwise you are misleading your audience, and then you have defeated the purpose of translation. The purpose of translation is to create an idea in a person's mind, which is closest possible match to the author's intention. And so I don't support choosing one-to-one correspondence. Choosing one-to-one correspondence is something I call a baby translator mistake. Okay, someone who's not familiar with the language deeply, they think there should always be the same English word for the same foreign word. That's a huge mistake. Last comment, okay? And Stanley, I think you know I feel about this. English is rich with two-word verbs, especially. We say, like to put on, put out, put in, put over, put around, put, you see, put on means to deceive somebody. Put in means to insert something. Put out means to disappoint somebody. You see what I mean? So, two-word verbs in English, they're not in dictionaries. The people who write dictionaries are stupid. like the Oxford English Dictionary doesn't list them as separate entries. Put out, put in, put around, put over. Just, they should. English is rich in two-word compounds, and they are separate words. They have new meaning. Okay. All right. I could go on all night. Stanley, let's do a different question.
Cool. Thank you, Geshe. Next one
Oh,
is
so
anonymous.
for Russian translator, try to give the audience the correct feeling. And don't worry, oh, we're always going to use this word for this word. Okay, don't worry about that. Okay.
Cool. Thank you. It's very helpful for all kinds of language translators. The next one is anonymous question from, I think it's from China because it's written in Chinese. So it says, in Pan's story, when the man, it says in the Pan story that when the man goes out, the dog goes out, at that moment, it's nothing. Can you explain this kind of state? From ultimately speaking, if there's not even a stick there, when there's no observer, can we really say there's nothing? If describing it as there's nothing, it's not enough, not precise enough, then how can we understand it as a state of potential? Because it's neither a form or a formless.
Okay, good. It's a great question. This is a very, very, very good question. And I'm proud that there are people who are asking these questions. I'm proud that you understand. It makes me proud, like a father, that people are understanding to ask the question. So this is it's very important in different schools. What's on the table when the people go out of the room and the dogs go out of the room? At different schools have different ideas about what's on the table when the people go out of the room and the dog goes out of the room. And it's a very important difference, for example, between the lower middle way and the higher middle way. Okay, so lower middle way says when you put the pen on the table and the dog goes out of the room and the human goes out of the room, you can call lower middle way the 50-50 school, 50-50 school. What's that mean? 50% of the pen is coming from the pen and 50% of the pen is coming from me. Okay. So if you're in that school, lower middle way, you have to say that when the people and the dogs go out of the room, there's still some kind of cylinder of a certain color on the table. Okay. We don't know if it's a pen yet. We don't know if it's a chew toy yet. But when the people go out of the room, there's still two things, colors and shapes, mainly because we live in the senses. We live in our eyes. We live in the visual sense. Out of the five senses, for a person who's not blind, the visual sense is the Abhidharma says 90% of your experience, 95% of your experience is visual, colors and shapes. So what's left on the table when you go out of the room, if you're lower middle way, there's colors and shapes. There's a cylinder shape, and that has a color. And when you come back in the room, your seeds open. They create a picture, luminous picture, and that picture moves out of your mind onto those pieces, colors and shape, and it becomes a pen. So that's the lower middle way. What's the higher middle way? When you leave the room, there's literally nothing on the table because 0% of objects comes from the object side. 0% of objects comes from the object side. So you can't even say potential is sitting on the table or something like that. There's literally nothing sitting on the table. How much of your husband yelling at you is coming from you and how much is coming from him? That's a lower middle way or lower school question. The higher middle way would say 0% is coming from him. But, the higher middle way would say your mind first projects a shape and a color, and then it projects a picture onto the shape and color. The raw data, the color and shape on the table, the cylinder that has a color, that was projected by your mind just before you made it into a pen. Okay, so the higher middle way agrees that there is a cylinder on the table after you come in the room, let's say, and that it has a color after you come in the room, and your mind creates that shape and color. And then when you look at it, your mind makes a pen out of it, okay? And they would say that. So I like to call it the raw data question. And the higher middle way says there is raw data, colors and shapes, and those are called pen by you. They are organized into a pen by your seeds, but the raw data is coming from you. The lower middle way says, no, the raw data is a priori. The raw data is there, whether you come in the room or not. There's something on the table, whether you come back to the room or not, okay? And they use the example of their famous example, Stanley.
Magician.
Yeah, you want to explain while I eat one bite of my dinner?
Oh, I never ever met those people, but they said in India, there are special people who can, for example, they put a stick on the ground and then like the crowds are watching the stick, and then the magician can recite a mantra.
Mhm.
Oh, and also spread on some powders
Yeah, I throw some powders in their eye.
in the audience eyes. Then suddenly they will see a horse or a giant elephant, and they believe it. But then, so there are three group of people here.
Yay, good. Oh, you're allowing me to eat my dinner. Thank you.
Oh, if you want to talk, you can. Okay,
Oh,
sure.
I love it. No, I want you to keep going.
Okay. Please enjoy your food then. So, and we can see in the scene there are three different kinds of people there. Number one is the magician who's doing the magic. He knows that the giant, he can see the elephant, but he doesn't believe it. Yeah, that's the one, because he know he made it up with the magic.
Does he see a stick, Stanley?
He doesn't, right?
No.
He see that.
I mean, he throws the stick down, but
Yeah.
after he does the mantra and the powder, he doesn't see a stick anymore.
Right. He doesn't see the stick anymore. He only sees the giant elephant. And then the audience, of course, being affected by the magic, only sees the elephant, and they all freak out. They believe it's true. And the third kind of people is the one who comes later after the magician throw out the powder and do the mantra. Then they don't see the elephant. They only see the stick, and they see the freaking out people in the audience. But they don't see the giant elephant. So that represents three kinds of people in the lower middle way. You want to?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Now, do you remember who's who?
So
Also talking about Tonglam. It's also talking about Tonglam.
Okay. So
and it's talking about Nyamshak and Jetop. It's talking about Nyamshak and Jetop.
Yeah, I might need some help from the mixed nuts. But the audience is the one who doesn't understand emptiness, they are fooled by the
Yeah.
appearance,
They didn't reach path of seeing yet. They didn't see emptiness yet.
and they think things are coming from
They
themselves.
see the elephant and they believe it. Yeah.
And they believe it. Yeah. And then the magician is the people who are seeing emptiness directly is the big latecomers.
Right. Beautiful, 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 beautiful.
And they don't see the elephant, and they don't believe there's an elephant. So they don't see things coming from this.
What do they see on the ground?
Just a stick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then, but after you fall down from the direct perception of emptiness, things becomes normal again. They seem to you that they are still coming from themselves, but you don't believe it anymore. So that's the magician. He sees the elephant, meaning things coming from themselves, but he doesn't believe it anymore because he see the truth.
Outstanding. You want to make $100?
Oh yeah.
All right, we're gonna make $100. How does this discussion relate to this person's question about what's on the table before you come in the room? Yeah, answer slow. I can finish my whole dinner.
So this person is asking about if there's the raw data question, right? When there's no human, no dog, what's there on the table? And Geshe, you said the lower middle way believe that there are some
lower middle way is the 50-50 school.
Yeah, they believe there are some raw data there. The stick is there, the colors and the shapes of the stick are out there, whether there's a human or dog. That is, I don't know, that's who? That's
the colors and shapes of the pen do exist on the table before I come back.
Right, right.
Otherwise, if that's not true, then Buddha wouldn't have told this story.
Oh, because in the story there's a stick there?
Exactly. You just earned $100. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, when the guy comes late, he doesn't get the mantra or the powder in his eyes, and he sees a stick. The lower middle way says, who told this story? It was Buddha. That proves that Buddha believes before you come back in the room, there's a cylinder with color on the table. Okay, cool. Otherwise, the story doesn't work. Otherwise, the person who came late, you can't explain it. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Answer a question. Yay. Next one. Except I lost money on the question. I don't know how it happened. Even the question and answer cost me money. I don't understand.
All right. The next one is about, let me see. Okay, it's about chanting the name of Amitabha. Let me find it. Where is it right now? Oh yeah. So from Li Wang, this question is, he or she asked, it is said that if we keep chanting the name of Amitabha, then can we plant the seed which that would take us to the Pure Land, and then we will get out of the samsara of the 6 realms. But compare this method with direct perception of emptiness. So if we see emptiness directly, we still have to live 7 lifetimes in general to leave samsara. So can I say that chanting the method of chanting names is faster than seeing emptiness directly in terms of leaving samsara? That's the question.
Yeah. Wow, that's a tough question. You know, Tim and I are meeting this week to talk about what we're going to do at the Medicine Buddha retreat in October. And, there's two ideas. Oh, number one, just learn those names of those Buddha, Medicine Buddha, and say the mantra and sit in your house and try to say 100,000 or try to say 1,000,000. And then you don't have to worry about anything. You will just go there after you die. It seems like the sutra says that, but if you read it more carefully, it talks a lot about Sun, Dharani, and it talks a lot about emptiness. Okay, so the words have power. The mantra has power, but you have to understand the emptiness of the mantra, or it doesn't have much power. Okay, it doesn't have much power. And why would we say that? If you could just say some magic words 1,000,000 times or 5,000,000 times, and then you wouldn't die, and you would go to Amitabha's heaven, then, I mean, honestly, Buddha would have just said, just recite these words and don't do anything else. You don't have to understand anything. You don't have to read anything. You don't have to study anything. You don't have to meditate anything. Just recite these words and you will go to heaven. And then that would be Buddhism. There wouldn't be 5,000 books from India. Buddha wouldn't give 10,000 teachings. There would just be one book with 2 pages. And it would say, just recite these words and don't worry about anything else, and you will go to heaven. You will go to Amitabha's heaven. And that's not true. And I call it, okay, I have a very harsh word for it. I call it selling fire extinguishers which don't work. Okay, so if you want a definition of a bad person, right? It's like sell people fire extinguishers and don't put anything inside of them. Then when the fire starts and they try to spray the fire, that thing doesn't work because you wanted to save $2 and make $2 from the people who buy it. You cheated those people, right? And so I call it selling fire extinguishers that don't work. They look like fire extinguishers, and they look a lot like the fire extinguishers that do work, but they don't work by themselves. So I think it's unfair. It's not fair. It's unfair to sell a fire extinguisher that doesn't have anything inside. And then when there's a fire, the person will die, because you wanted to cheat them and save some money, that's crazy, So mantra, Amitabha's prayers, without understanding emptiness, is like a fire extinguisher with nothing inside. It's very similar. It looks like a fire extinguisher, but it's not going to work by itself, okay? It will not work by itself. So you have to load the fire extinguisher with a chemical, right? The chemical is understanding emptiness. There's a reason why Buddha taught, still we have 100,000 pages spoken by Buddha directly. We have exactly 100,000 pages. We have 990 sutras. And each average is 50 pages actually. So anyway, we have a lot of pages, okay? And if you use them together, if you use the mantra together with the understanding of emptiness, it's extremely powerful, okay? If you use understanding of emptiness without a mantra, it's not as powerful. If you use the mantra without the understanding of emptiness, it's very little power. But if you use them together, it's the greatest power. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. So yes, you can do Amitabha's mantra. You can do Amitabha's prayers. It's a very, very good. But you have to understand emptiness to use it properly, okay? Otherwise, it's like a fire extinguisher with nothing inside. if somebody is, there's a joke in the old book. If I just lost my old lady was 95, she died. I took care of her for 35 years. I lost her last week. Last week, I finally lost her, you know. And in the last few weeks, she couldn't talk. And she just looked at us from the bed. She couldn't move. She pee-pee. We told her, just pee-pee. Just pee-pee in the bed. It's okay. But just poo-poo in the bed. It's okay, you know. And she's like very shy, but she can't get up. And she has such bad cancer, we cannot move her. So we said, just pee-pee, just poo-poo, don't worry, we'll clean it. And she was too embarrassed to pee-pee and poo-poo, you know. They say, if you're like that, you cannot talk, you cannot move, you are ready to die. Okay, then say Amitabha. You know, it's too late to think about emptiness. You can't take this person to the mixed nuts class. You know, it's impossible. So teach them mantra, that's okay. But if you're not 95 and you're not in your last bed, then for goddamn, you know, study emptiness, you know, give the power to the fire extinguisher, okay? So is it okay to teach old people, just do Amitabha mantra, it will be good luck, you will have a good place? That's great, that's fine. But if they're not old 95 years old, if they're 90, then bring them to the mixed nuts in a wheelchair, okay? And let them understand emptiness, because that makes the mantra powerful. Cool? So it's great. Those mantras are great. But the person who says them has to understand emptiness. Otherwise, they don't work. It's like a fire extinguisher with nothing inside. All right, Stanley, other question?
Thank you, Geshe, for the powerful metaphor and story. So next question is from Russia again, Russian-speaking area, Nikita. So he asked, when arhats who went to when arhats who went to lower nirvana come back, when they come back, do they forget their previous lifetimes and which path they land on a Mahayana track?
There's a very, very beautiful sutra, very beautiful books about how those people decide to go bodhisattva way. Okay, they already reached nirvana. They are in a deep meditation. I think they don't have to eat anymore. And they are in a deep meditation. They don't have any klesha, no negative emotion, nothing. And they don't have any seed for negative emotion. And they also don't have any subtle seed to not understand emptiness. They understand emptiness perfectly, okay? As much as the Buddha does, okay? They understand emptiness. They see emptiness as well as the Buddha does. By the way, if you see emptiness directly, you saw it the same as the Buddha saw it. There's no difference. Either you see it or you don't see it directly. If you see it directly, you saw 100%, and that moment, your perception of emptiness is no different from the Buddha's perception of emptiness. Either you see it or you don't see it. If you see it, it's 100%. It's always 100%. And it's not like a Buddha sees it differently or something like that. They don't, okay? So if you are lower arhat, you are in a constant meditation. Your body is beyond dying. You are no longer in samsara. You are not in the wheel. And you are happy. And you have no negative emotions, nothing. It's impossible. Okay? Then it's like happiness. It's a kind of happiness. And then there's a very, very beautiful description of like Buddhas come behind you and they're like, hey, hey, you know, and it's very beautiful. description. It's like, hey, you, what, wake up. Then you're like, what? I'm done. I'm finished. I reached nirvana. Hey, it's not finished yet. Think about other people. Think about you're being so selfish to sit here by yourself, and think about all the other people so sad, suffering so much. How can you sit here by yourself? How can you not try to do more? And they actually push them out of their meditation to go do more for other people. They push them to go to Bodhisattva track. Okay. So how that happens, how you feel this fingers on your shoulder, it's your past karma, right? It's your past. You had some very subtle, beautiful seeds from the past, and they opened during the lower nirvana. And that whole description of what happens is very, very beautiful in the scriptures. It makes you want to cry when you read about it, okay? And someday we should read it again. It's a lot of fun. Okay, Dr. Chen, what's next?
Oh, thank you again, Geshe.
Mhm.
Anatole's question. Dear Lama, on that note, I have a question about the criteria.
Wait, Stanley, more important.
Yes.
You guys have to tell Veronica I ate the broccoli. Okay, you can prove it. Okay,
Okay, we can all see, we witness it.
okay. In case she asked you.
Okay, about the question is about the criteria of a proper life tool. Since the greatest challenge that we face in life is death process, does every life tool, regardless of whatever text it was mined from, need to have a component that clearly guides us in some way toward the highest middle way school? Wouldn't it be a bad idea to practice something in our everyday life that seemed to work pretty well, only to find out that it was no more potent than a rubber knife in a game fight?
I bet you Bourne, what's his first name? Bourne.
Jason.
I bet Jason Bourne could use a rubber knife and kill somebody. Okay, anyway. Yeah, about your life tools, I really, really want you guys to get excited because I think a lot about what to do with my life. I got my schedule ready. Let me see if I can find it, Stanley. Hang on. Where is that?
Did you update it online?
Oh, here it is. Okay, here we go. This is negotiation schedule for Geshe 2022. Every day is sold 18 months before. Okay. And so I was thinking about it a lot. I think a lot about what to do with my time. I'm 68 years old. Pretty soon my brain will fail. I believe it. Pretty soon I won't be able to remember my name, right? Forget mine only text. So I gotta schedule my time carefully, I don't want to waste 1 minute. I don't want to waste 1 hour, I gotta find the best use of my time. And sorry, what were you talking about?
Jason Bourne.
Rubber knives and death.
The life tools.
Yeah, when you make a life tool, I strongly believe that if the Buddha was alive today, they would have some kind of program like DCI or YSI or the SCIM college. I believe that strongly. I don't think if Buddha was alive today, he would sit in a monastery in a mountain where nobody can meet him and nobody knows anything and ignore 8 billion people. I don't think so. He was walking from town to town, teaching. He never stopped teaching. He walked from town to, why we have 990 sutras. He taught without stopping. He taught everywhere, and he didn't sit even in one city. He went to one city to another. The first part of the sutra always says he was in this city and he taught this, and so I think the life tools are the most important thing we can do. I think, and everybody who came to the mixed nuts classes, you should learn to write a life tool. Without life tools, this stuff is worthless. Nothing. These books are worthless. Okay, to translate these books and put them on the shelf here, like these books, it won't help anybody. Okay, it will help 5 people or 10 people. Nobody can. We have a whole set of the Chinese Kangyu here. We have a whole set. I never saw one person open the book. These have been here for 5-6 years now. I never saw anyone open one page. So you couldn't read it. No. Then that's why we need life tools. Okay, that's why we need life tools. We need you guys have to learn how to take those deep ideas that Word's talking about, that Ben's talking about, that Nick's talking about. You have to learn to sit down and say, how can I teach this to my mom? And how can I teach this to my kids? And, and don't use middleweight, mind-only language, okay? Forget it. Do not use Asanga, okay? Use you and make a life tool that somebody can use. I think that the 2 husbands in the kitchen is more valuable than all the teachings of the Buddha translated. I think so. I think that one story about the 2 husbands in the kitchen is more valuable in this world than all of the Buddhist books translated, okay? So your job is to take those translations and sit down and make modern examples that people can use, okay? And don't think that it's not Buddhism. It is Buddhism. What's not Buddhism is to translate 1,000 books and put them in the shelf. That's not Buddhism. That's not bodhicitta. That's nothing. That's a bunch of paper. I never saw one person open any of these books. Never. Okay. They've been sitting here since we built the college. Okay. You gotta take those ideas and you gotta make a modern stories for modern people. And if you don't, then we wasted all this time. Also, Geshe, why we do mixed nuts? Oh, make a life tool without mixed nuts is terrible. It's like a Titanic. It's like trying to get to New York in the Titanic, to try to use those books without a life tool is like to buy a ticket to go on to New York from Ireland on the Titanic. Okay, you won't get there. Okay, you won't get there. Okay, so, and I have to say, when I taught, I was teaching the DCI teachers at the college this year. And I just finished Word's book. We just finished Word's first book about mind-only school. And I taught the DCI teachers for 2 weeks life tools that I made from Word's book. Word's book is about 400 or 500 pages. And I taught the DCI teacher trainees for 14 days, and I finished 8 pages. I finished 8 pages of one mixed nuts book from 500 pages. Okay, so it's deep. This stuff is deep, and And don't think, oh, this is not Buddhism, or don't think I'm not good enough to write a life tool. Don't think like that. Okay. If you don't write a life tool after listening to the mixed nuts, you wasted your whole life. Then you wasted your whole life. All the food you ate, all the trips you made, the whole life is meaningless. Nothing has any meaning. You die, it's gone. I watched a lady die, my friend, for 35 years. It's gone. Everything is gone. Okay. The life tool has meaning. The life tool will help people. Okay. Please, please, please make a life tool, and your life tool will help somebody. Okay. So don't be shy. 2 pages, 1 picture, 1 sexy name. You know what I think is a good challenge, Stanley? Take any page from one of the Mixed Nuts book. Don't plan. Just open. Just close your eyes and open and make a life tool from that. Okay. Oh, Geshe, that's crazy. No, it's not. The guy who taught that book saw you opening the book 2,000 years later. The guy who taught the Diamond Cutter Sutra was watching you open the book 2,000 years later when he wrote the book. It's all planned out. Okay. But if you don't do your part of the plan, it's a terrible, terrible tragedy. Then you wasted your whole life. You really wasted your whole life. Okay. All right, Stanley, one more last question.
Okay, cool. Since Geshe, you are talking about.
I have to go find dessert.
Okay. So since you're talking about DCI Lab 2, there's one about DCI level 11.
Okay.
It's the emptiness time management, right? And you taught that whenever we see something, the light of that thing would take some time to reach our eyes. So possibly when we look at that thing, it's already gone. Like when we look at some stars in the sky, when the light reaches us from the stars, that star might be gone already. So with this metaphor, we understand that everything we see, experience, it's like a picture that it's already gone. So how do we apply this in our own life? For example, how do we help ourselves to get less afflicted, to get less anger by thinking about this idea?
Yeah, good idea. Good question. So we take the example of a star. There's a star far away, and we go out at night in Arizona, not Shenzhen, and we can see the stars. And the light that reaches my eye, it left that star maybe 1,000 years ago. Okay, the light left that star maybe 1,000 years ago, and maybe that star is already gone. Okay, that's not a big problem. That it doesn't really matter. Okay, what I call now is when the light hits my eyes. Who cares if it left 1,000 years ago? It doesn't really matter. Okay, why? The 1,000-year-old starlight can make me a very big enjoyment at Diamond Mountain. Okay, I don't care if it's 1,000 years old. It doesn't really matter. For me, that light is now, and that's enough. You don't have to go to Diamond Mountain and don't enjoy the light because it's too old. I don't want old light, because now, for us, is when the light hits your eye. That's called now. We all agreed this is now. Okay, so that's one thing. Abhidharma says when you hear your thoughts, it's the same as the starlight. When you hear your thoughts in your own mind, it's the same as the starlight. They left, your mind talked them a second ago. and now it reached your awareness. Okay. So your mind is talking to you, your thoughts are talking, and it takes even the electricity to move across your brain. It takes a few milliseconds for you to hear the thought. So Geshe, who cares? I don't really care. No, you should care. It means when you listen to thoughts in your mind, it's not you talking, it's somebody else talking. The talker left already. The talker is gone, okay? And I'll never forget, my teacher taught me, somebody came who had depression, and they came to my teacher, they said, I have depression, and he said, you can't change it. You can't change it now. And the guy is like very, he almost killed himself. Now this big lamas tell him, forget it, you're gonna have depression, And then I thought, oh my God, how can you say that? You're supposed to give hope to the student, Don't tell the student, oh, your mind is talking depression. It started a millisecond ago. It's too late to do anything. It's too late. You cannot stop the light from the star. If you want to go to the star and stop the light, you can do that. But it's too late. By the time you hear your depression thoughts, they are already spoken. So you can never change your depression. You have to be depressed forever. And then he said, no, I didn't say that. What I said was, it's your seeds talking. Your seeds are talking. It's not you. Your seeds are talking. Sounds are coming out of your seeds in your mind. You can change your seeds. You should change your seeds, okay? Change your seeds today. And next week, your mind will say nice things, okay? Next week, your mind will say nice things. You can control your depression. You can stop your depression. But the only way is to help people with seeds, to help other people with their seeds, okay? So that's the idea, that's how you can use the idea that we are living a split second behind reality. You can use that idea to help people who are depressed. The only way to stop the talk in your mind is to help someone else. That's all. You have to plant the seeds, and then they will open next week, okay? All right, Stanley, Grandpa's going home to bed.
Yay! Thank you so much, Geshe.
No, and thank you for beautiful questions. You guys, I have a very good karma in my life that I have crazy people who come to the mixed nuts classes. And I feel so lucky. It's the biggest happiness in my life that I have such nice people I have nice people all day to talk to, and we talk about beautiful things, and we help people, we help old people. I think it's a really happy life for me, and I'm really grateful to you. And I love each person, and I feel very lucky. Yep. Okay.
Thank you, Geshe. Please keep teaching. And then,
see you tomorrow.
See you. And for the audience, if you want to support Mixed Nuts, especially our second generation who are being fed right now, Amelie, Maitri, and they are being trained. Yeah. Maitri, say something. Please go to our Mixed Nuts website page. Kang, I saw you sharing the screen. Can you share again the Mixed Nuts QR code? I don't know if you can do it right now, but there's a website there in the Diamond Cutter Classics. Yeah, you can click the donate there and support this great project. It's gonna continue for a long time, and we need your support. And it's a great fortune to be able to support this great effort. Okay, thank you all. And then I will see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Stanley, for hosting. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And thank you all the translators. The English,
Hey.
the Chinese, and the Spanish.
Hey. All right, take a break.
Take a break.
Break.
There's no time for a break, Stanley.
Haha. Except for Upala.